What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? Welcome to Jrichfits Lifestyle and Health Coaching Corner. We are on episode 31. The topic of the day is second guessing yourself versus pulling the trigger. Why do we second guess ourselves? Doubt is a big one. Everybody has doubt when it comes to the person you end up being with, when it comes to the job you end up having for the next 30 years, when it comes to going to school. In every stage of life, there's always doubt. And that is the biggest reason why people hesitate. They have an idea, they doubt that idea, and instead of going when they should have went, they're now a half second, half step behind, and the result isn't as good as if it was when they just jumped on it. And that's usually just second guessing. You're not confident within yourself. You're doubting yourself. You don't believe you could do the things that you practice doing all day, every day, or you naturally have a gift to do all day, every day. And it's sad to me when you doubt yourself. That's one of the worst days you could possibly come across. Having too much confidence in yourself can be a bad day, but I'd rather have that and fail trying than doubt myself, even though I have all the skill in the world, and never try and never reach your fullest potential. So doubt is huge. Lack of confidence, they all kind of coincide together, but a lot of people don't have that type of confidence. It's sad, especially when you have God-given gifts. If you could sing, if you could run, if you could swim, if you're a great athlete, if you're a great writer, if you're a great thinker, and you don't tap into those God-given gifts because of lack of confidence, thinking that there's always somebody better than you. Understand this. There is somebody better than you out there, but there's also somebody worse than you that does that avenue that you love. There might be a Mariah Carey out there, but guess what? For every Mariah Carey, there's a fucking dumb shit singer that lasts all of 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and you'll never hear from him again. So stop thinking of the term, well, you're not as good as this person, or this person is the best. Who gives a fuck about that person? Care about the skills that you have, showcase those, and let people decide. The only thing that is different between Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Michael Jordan, Michael Vick, all these amazing athletes, actors, singers, it's just opportunity. Somebody saw them and thought that they were great and built them up to be this mythic human being, but they're really not. There's 5 Michael Jordans out there you never heard of because of circumstance when it comes to injury or lack of grades or just not having the right opportunities given to them, or they died early, something like that. There's always something along those terms to where people don't reach their full potential, but they at least try. And I think lack of confidence is the worst thing, and it stems from your family. If you come from a long line of unconfident people, it's hard to break out of that because those are the ones that will bust you all the way down. If you have these great skills, they're so afraid or so jealous that they weren't blessed with those skills that they dedicate their whole life to crushing what you're good at. It's good to have perspective and it's good to be humble, but it's also even better to know that you're good at something. And no matter what somebody says to you, as long as you know you're good at it, and as long as you hear more yeses than nos when you're performing that thing, and when I say yeses, I mean thumbs up, you're good at it, compared to maybe you should try something else, then who gives a dog shit what some unconfident, didn't reach their full potential person has to say about what you're doing? That's the big issue, is we're so consumed and wrapped up on what people that don't matter think or say. It makes us second guess what we know is already true, that we're good at this, or somebody that we know is good at that, and we allow the masses to sway who's good and who's not good. Who cares about all that? For the most part, a small portion or a small percentage of people get paid in these major avenues: sports, acting, singing, social media, motivational speakers. Small portion of these people make the bulk of the money. and everybody else is getting paid either nothing or just a little bit. So why would you care? If you're doing it for yourself and if you're doing it to help others, then just keep doing it and you'll be absolutely fine. I don't think that if you're doing it for millions of dollars or if you're doing it to be famous, then that's where the second guessing will come in. That's where the lack of confidence will consume you. But if you know that you could give a shit if you make $1, or if you're on the billboards, or if you're motivating millions of people, if you're doing it and one person goes, hey, I think you're doing a great job, and that's all that matters to you, then you're on the right path and you're on the right tip and you're doing the right thing. What else, in my opinion, has people second guessing themselves? Fear of failure. I mean, I was tackling a lot of that, but it's always good to kind of go back just to help people out. So many of us are afraid to fail that we will rather not do it than look bad in front of everybody else. And once again, it's ending the sentence in front of everybody else or for everybody else. You shouldn't do things to do that, for that. It is embarrassing if you fail when you're working so hard to do something. But the people that laugh the loudest at your failures are the ones that are too afraid to even do it. So why would I care about them laughing at me? Because if I were to go on this long journey and then almost reach my pinnacle and get hurt or lose an opportunity or get fired or just anything like that, at least you did the journey. So the next person that comes up in your family, you could teach them, and maybe they will get to that last part that you didn't get to. Compared to the family member I was talking about earlier, that all they do is see talent, destroy it, and it's this constant failure pit that their whole family, their whole tree is dying under, while your tree is slowly growing. It stopped here. The knowledge and the information that you have now, you could pass on, so the tree grows and grows and grows. It's always that matriarch, or it's always that jet-setting first person that has to go through all the shit, learn the ins and outs, hiccup, do all this stuff for the next generation to get that smooth path all the way through. It's almost like when you're walking in a mountain and you're going on a hike or something like that, and you see all these trees and all these bushes, and then there's this one path, and there's no grass that grows there, there's no weeds that grow there, it's just a dirt path that goes straight all the way up to the top of the mountain. The first person that walked that path, it was not that smooth for. They had to step on a lot of weeds, they had to have a lot of ticks in their ankles, they had to dodge snakes just to make it to the top of that hill for you to have that smooth path. So just remember that when you decide to do something, that's all you're doing it for, is for that next person behind you to make an easier path for them. So that's why I think that you shouldn't second guess yourself. That's why I think that you should always pull the trigger when it has to do with something that's positive and something that is good for your whole family or for the people all around you. Does the average person second guess themselves more often than not? Yes, that's why they're the average person. There are so many average ass people out here because of fear, lack of confidence, all those things I talked about just before. That's also why there's so few average people. When they always say, oh, they're 1 at 50,000 will make it to the NFL, that's because there's so many mental hurdles that happen to all these athletes that get them not to go to the NFL. Understand, for the majority of the NFL, besides the ones that are blessed with just being humongous, or the ones that are just blessed with being freaks of nature, athletes that are super fast, the skill level between the guys that make it and the guys that don't make it is extremely thin. I talked about it before in other podcasts, but when I was in high school, Julian Edelman played at Woodside. He was a year older than me. When we beat him in high school, he wasn't even the guy that we paid attention to. He was their quarterback, but there was like 5 other athletes that we paid attention to over him. Those 5 athletes, including every athlete I knew that I thought was going to make it to the NFL, including myself, that my dream was always to make it to the NFL, did not make it, and he did. At certain times you peak, at certain times you're still growing, at certain times your hard work and dedication outshine everybody else, and at certain times you just get lucky. You fall through the cracks when people are getting hurt and not making grades and not getting drafted and all those things, and you are in the right place, right time, and there's your future. So it's not always the greatest athletes or the greatest singers or the greatest actors or the greatest entrepreneurs that make it big. It's sometimes the lucky ones, or sometimes the hard-working ones. So don't get so caught up. And that's what separates average from above average. There's not a lot to it. Like I was saying before, it's just dedication and belief in yourself that separate you from the average person. I feel like the average person has no confidence, second guesses, doesn't believe in themselves. And the above average person, the only difference is when they see an opportunity, they pull the trigger and don't look back. They don't think twice. There's no big... See, and this is coming from somebody that's played against extremely good athletes. Athletes that are in that small percentile in the world. Fuck, I was one of them. I'm 5'10". I could dunk a basketball. I could run a 4.5 40. I could bench press and squat all this weight. So I'm not somebody on the outside looking in. I was one of these athletes. And to see guys my height, my skill level, my speed, my vertical jump ability to make it and not make it, it lets you know that the window is a lot bigger than they want you to believe. The difference is your brain and how you believe in yourself. That'll get you to where you need to be. And then also, besides the glamorous areas, what other avenues do we second guess ourselves? Jobs. Jobs are huge. Same thing I just talked about in sports and athletics. I know that resonated to a lot of people that didn't play sports ever in their life, because everything is very relative. Just because I'm talking about sports doesn't mean it doesn't happen in your job, doesn't mean it doesn't happen in your personal life. It happens everywhere. And jobs are huge. There is somebody right now that you have to turn a report into, or is your boss, or is your manager, that you know is dumber than dog shit. And you know that if they had to do your job, they couldn't survive a day. And if you had to do their job, you might take their fucking job. There's millions of cases of that. I listen to it every day at work, hearing about it. Same exact stuff. The difference between that person that is your boss or that you have to report to and yourself is they have confidence and you don't. They pull the trigger and you second guess yourself. They don't take no for an answer. You take no on the first answer. So understand that as well. There's no big barrier between their mental capacity and yours, their leadership skills and yours. More often than not, they're just the better talkers and the better ass kissers, and they will do what you hesitate doing to get what they need to get. Dating is a big one. People second guess themselves on dating all the time. And it is why you are not with the person that you think you should be with. If you don't think you look good, it's extremely easy to read that on your posture, on your face, on your body, besides your shoulder posture, your overall posture. You can see it coming a mile away. If you have no confidence in yourself and you do not believe in yourself and you second guess yourself and you doubt yourself all the time, how the fuck are you going to find somebody that's the complete opposite of that? The only person that you'll attract is that person themselves. Somebody has no confidence, somebody that doesn't believe in themselves, and you guys will come together and waste years upon years of your life until you both, one of you either wakes the fuck up and becomes confident and gets the fuck out of there, or you both don't and die some old unconfident fucks that make their kids unconfident fucks that have these amazing skills that you don't help grow. So that's what I'm trying to say. They're all piggyback on top of each other. If you're an unconfident person that doesn't believe in their skills and you're looking to date, you're only going to attract what you put out. If you have more confidence in yourself and you're building yourself up, people will see that and people will gravitate towards that because it's positive energy. More often than not, shitty people get drawn to shitty energy. Positive people get drawn towards positive energy. People love being around happy, vivacious, fun people. And if you're not one of them, more often than not, your friends are not calling you up. More often than not, you're getting swiped left because they get see it right away on your pictures. Or more often than not, you're just lonely and you're going to waste the best years of your life because you don't snap out of it. You don't wake the fuck up and understand that life is short and you should be enjoying every moment. The only people that do enjoy every moment are people that pull the trigger, people that have fun, people that laugh, people that enjoy themselves, people that don't care what other people think. You should be able to walk down the street and never dance in your life and break dance your fucking ass off. Not give two shits if somebody's recording you, laughing at you, whatever the fuck, because you understand this. The second unless it's your neighborhood, the second you walk away, the likelihood of you seeing that person ever again is 1 in a million. And if you do see them, they probably don't remember that you're the breakdance dude because they see you 10 years later, 5 years later. So just remember that moments are moments. They're not these things that'll last a lifetime. There's so many important people that do stupid things on live TV or in the news or in the White House, and they give two shits. They understand giving two shits is what got them there, and time cures all when it comes to mistakes or when it comes to putting your foot in your mouth or being stupid. So there's a lot to that. And then investing. This is one that's new. I'm newly getting into investing. I have a bunch of friends that are newly getting into investing as well. If you hesitate in investing, the stock market is the best thing to get into when it comes to learning how not to hesitate. Because when you do hesitate and it jumps up, you kick yourself in the ass right away because you realize that was money I could have invested and made back for myself, for my family, for my community, whatever the fuck you do with your money. That's money you can make. So if you need a reality check or a wake-up call to not hesitate and pull the trigger more often than not, get into investing. Understand, break down the stock market, get into it, because it will help build your confidence. If you're somebody that does pull a trigger and you're somebody that does know how to read and game yourself up and digest information and then pull triggers, your confidence will skyrocket. That's why when you see these dorks and all these dweebs that are investment bankers and day traders, and they're dorks. Like, they're the guys that were getting wedgied in school. They were the guys that didn't ever have dates to the dances and shit like that, and they're the ones that always tried to show up in the Beamer and flash their money. That's all they're doing as adults, is now they're making more money than the dude that was the captain of the football team or the prom king, and now they're trying to floss, but they're still dorks on the inside. But these guys have found the end. The end is investment banking because it helps build confidence, fast confidence. When you fail, only you know you fail because you control it yourself. And when you win, it's so easy to tell people how much you won. And so easy to tell people all these things. And that's all it is when it comes to building confidence. When it comes to not having any confidence. It's how much are people seeing your wins versus losses. If all you're doing is showing wins and people are always gassing up, oh man, you look great, or you're doing amazing, I wish I could be you, then your confidence gets built up. No matter how you feel on the inside, outwardly you're extremely confident. If you're not doing that and people just see you losing all the time and people see that you don't have a job and you're broke, then your confidence is going to dwindle. Confidence goes like this, and pulling the trigger or hesitating is something that you could change. It's not something that will just stick with you forever. You can change it, but you need to find avenues to help build it. Investing, like I said, I have friends of mine. They hesitate a lot. I am somebody, More often than not in my life, I don't hesitate. I rather just do and see what happens. There's a little bit more calculated thought process to it, but everybody has their own, and mine would be too hard to explain. It's kind of hard to explain how everybody's brain works when it comes to pulling a trigger. But mine is quick assessment, understand as much as I need to understand, and don't get to a point where I'm second guessing myself. More often than not, when people second guess themselves, they read too much. And even though reading is a good thing, and even though information is a good thing, too much of anything is a bad thing. And too much reading and too much information and too much, you can get information and it can sway you left and right in a paragraph. So have confidence in yourself. Don't second guess with yourself, and you'll do good. And investing is one that I find now that kind of helps even myself when it comes to pulling triggers and when it comes to making fun, calculated, right moves to benefit myself, my family, etc. And then buying a house, buying a car, buying clothes, all that type of shit. It's all based on pulling a trigger or second guessing yourself. You can't dictate where the market goes. You can't dictate how much a car depreciates in value once it drives off the lot. And if you do that more often than not, you'll never pull the trigger. You'll never get what you want. Buy something because you want to. If you have a certain number in your head of how much you want to buy a house for, say it's $250,000, and a house is somehow open. Well, let's not talk about California because it's impossible to find anything for $250,000 in California. But let's just be mythical and let's just kind of think outside the box. $250,000, and it's your dream house, and you buy it, and somehow the stock market or the whole economy just folds and crashes, and now the house that you bought for $250,000 is now $100,000. You should have the confidence in yourself to be like, I don't give a fuck. I went in with $250,000. That was my number. I found my dream house for my number. It worked out that way. I'm not selling this house anytime soon. I'm not leaving anytime soon. Hopefully the market goes back up so this investment one day will pay off. But I bought this house hoping I would die in this house and my kids can have it. So that money is that money. I can't sit there and woe is me, because if I'm doing that all the time, then buy things and don't pay attention to shit. If you buy stock and you sell stock for a certain price, don't ever look at that stock again until you think about buying it again. But if you're going to look back at it every day and be like, I could have sold it for this and I only sold it for that and I could have made this much money. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, who gives a fuck? That's how I always look at it. And same thing when it comes to buying houses and buying things. Only do it for yourself. Don't do it to stunt in front on people. Don't live outside of your means, because I see so many guys do that nowadays. Is they'll buy these nice cars or they'll buy these nice clothes, and Instagram is the biggest confidence builder, pull the trigger builder, front page fucking builder on the planet. Is I see a lot of younger men more often than not stunting in front of what cars they bought, stunting in front of what clothes they bought, what expensive alcohol bottles they bought, but forget to post that they still live in mommy and daddy's house, and forget to post that mommy and daddy don't charge them rent. That's why I always laugh. Anytime somebody stunts in front, I always think about putting my fucking rent check up and being like, oh, you just went to Italy? Cool, here's my fucking Italy trip right here. It's called rent and called being a big boy and called making big moves. Because if you're constantly caught in stunting and fronting and doing all that shit, that is still, in my opinion, hesitating. And that's still, in my opinion, second guessing yourself. Because instead of living a little more modest, or instead of living a little more quiet and buying some peace of mind being a place, peace of mind being an apartment, whatever the fuck it is, you decide to hesitate on big boy moves and try to trick stupid ass people with the cars and the bottles and the clothes, but they don't see the behind the scenes of you still hesitating and you not pulling that trigger to take that next step in your life to be a better person, to be a more well-rounded man or woman. You're just sitting there and you're stunting, like I said, and that's never a good thing. That, to me, is the ultimate hesitation. Just because you see one thing, peel the layers back. And if you can peel the layers back every time, and it looks like they pull the trigger every time, or it looks like they're confident every time, then they're on a steady path. But if you pull the layers back, and the more and more you pull back, the more and more you see that hesitation, and the more and more you see that they're not doing it for themselves, but they're doing it for the show, then you need to reevaluate who you really think is doing it and who you're really idolizing, because it's not a good look. What do you gain when you stop second guessing yourself and you actually start pulling the trigger? Yourself. A lot of people don't really know who the fuck they are. And a lot of people waste their whole life trying to figure out who the fuck they are. Like I said, God gives each individual a certain gift that he doesn't give somebody else. Instead of us paying attention to everybody else's gifts, we need to start worrying about our own gifts and appreciating them and using them to the fullest potential. Because what ends up happening is you look back on life, you knew what gift you had, you knew you didn't utilize it all the way, and you're gonna die super sad. You're gonna die unmaximized, and the people around you are gonna see it. You're not gonna die happy. I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, my biggest success or my biggest dream is by at the very end, when I'm on my deathbed and hopefully I'm 80 years old, I want to look back on life and just smile. I want to die with a smile on my face. That is the ultimate win to me. I don't give a fuck how many MVPs you won. I don't give a fuck how many Grammys you win. I don't give a fuck about any of that. If you could die with a smile on your face, it's worth more than anything else you could think of that is man-made. And that should be the dream. If you stop second guessing yourself, life is gonna be amazing. You will say what you want to say to that person that you've always liked, and either you'll know right away that they're interested in you, or you're not, or they're not. And then when you find that out, you can move forward or move on to the next. With your job, when you decide to stick up for yourself and go for that promotion, they either give it to you and you further yourself in this company, or they don't and you know exactly where they stand and you move on to the next job. Every avenue when you decide to pull the trigger is that you either move forward here, or you stop, reevaluate, and then you move forward somewhere else. When you hesitate, instead of moving forward either direction, you stay right there and you do not become the person that you're supposed to be. And that is the ultimate goal. Every single day, pulling a trigger and moving a step forward to be who you are, maximizing yourself. That's the best advice I can give you. Think, is it positive? And will I be a better person for it? If both answers are yes, pull the trigger today, now, not tomorrow, not a week from now. And then let me know how it goes. When I tell my clients to do these things, more often than not, I hear back from them. Best decision of my life. Thank you so much. It was amazing. I wish I would do this earlier. Every single client that I tell to do this that doesn't is in the same exact spot, no matter what year I told them to do it in. They're doing the same exact thing. They always tell me about how they hate their job. They never further their dating, their potential growth in business, their potential growth as a human being, etc., etc. So don't take it from me. I've only done this shit for 10 plus years, and I've only been living for 31 years. I've seen a thing or two. Every single time, if you decide to pull that trigger and you've thought about it enough and you know the type of person you are, you'll be successful. If you still want to hesitate and not believe yourself, then you will fail once again, and it's just another add to the shoulders and the stress, and you will die with a frown on your face. Me, on the other hand, I'm smiling today. I'll be smiling the day I die. With that This is over. You guys have. Thank you for being here and thank you for listening. Get the fuck out of here. Make a change. Pull the trigger. Have a good day. Peace.